Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
And welcome back, everybody. She helps you get answers to questions about your life, things that are floating out there you're wondering about. She helps you make connections. She helps you manifest your life. She is an intuitive, she's a medium, and I think she's pretty perfect. She goes by the perfect Rose, and she's Roseanne. She's back with us. How are you doing today?
I'm excellent. I'm looking forward to see how it today kind of unfolds for us.
So I want to share that you said something before we jumped on here seconds ago, and before we even get into anything else, can you repeat that? Because I want to, it kind of illustrates your ability. Yeah, do tell.
Well, when we had our last talk, and I was instructed to come at that time because there was a time span in between the first interview that we had. Um, but you said, do you have a message for me? And I said I'm a bit nervous, but all I did keep getting is vacation. And I realized I never said it out loud. And then after we had that profound experience, especially at the end, because I was sent in as a sign from your mother's spirit, I was like, you know what? I better listen to that vacation part because of the fact that I'm really enjoying this conversation and I feel like it needs to continue. And I'd be really upset if I choose to come to see him and he's on vacation. So I better follow my guidance.
So here's the thing. Just yesterday, I was, well, I'm considering, maybe getting away, and I have a friend that's renting an Airbnb somewhere. And I started yesterday looking at flights. Yeah, maybe I could do it for a weekend. I've done it before. He travels a lot. He's able to, I don't have to pay anything. I just go there, buy meals and whatever. Um, so I started looking yesterday, vacation, like you said, and I was almost about to pull a trigger until he texted me and said, "Whoa, hold off." And the house that he was going to rent got flooded. They had some massive rains where it is. So, point here is you are saying this today. It was just yesterday that, and it's still on my mind. I was going to text him, "Hey, did you find another place?"
You're
So,
still going on vacation. I'm
oh,
just telling
am
you
I?
that right now. I don't
Uh,
know when, but I have a feeling it'll be when I really wanted to have a session with you. That's why I'm here today.
all right. Well, let's go a little bit deeper in that. Because you're already, hot on the trail, like a bloodhound dog. Um, Do you feel it will be or should be in December?
Well, it really feels like it was going to happen sooner than it just feels like probably, in this next week. Then I realized though, I had actually initially asked for Thursday, and then I realized you guys are having Thanksgiving. So I mean that in itself is a vacation, right? So that being closed for that. But I just thought, you know what, I better share that because in our first interview, I had mentioned, but I never really said this out loud to anyone because I realized, I better start really saying this out to other people because this is all stuff that happens inside of me. When I helped that client to manifest the doctor, the part I didn't say was the whole time I was calming her down, I kept hearing doctor. And I'm focusing on doctor while I'm walking her through whatever. I actually thought she was at a doctor's appointment, but she wasn't. I think she was getting like a wound dress with a nurse, but it wasn't really a doctor's appointment. So I helped her manifest that doctor. I kept thinking doctor, but I never really told her that that's what I kept hearing when the doctor offered to be her doctor, right? So
Hmm.
so I figure I better start saying that out loud a little bit more because I'm not really giving myself credit for where some of the other stuff that's happening inside, so I thought I better, but it's like I say, I enjoyed our time and I
Hmm.
wanted to continue because I felt like I know you were asking me about the Oracle cards, and I'm not trying to discourage. I still use them. I still use them to inspire me, but I feel like I use them more to inspire me what's happening now. You see what I'm trying to say? Like as an influence of what's happening now, where I think where people can get messed up a little bit with the tarot is where it can bring you a little bit too much in the future. And depending on what you were at vibrationally when you ask the question, because usually when people go for a reading, sometimes they're distressed, right? So the
Oh,
cards are
yeah.
responding to that energy. So that's another reason why I would just want to be careful with the seeds I plant. So I'm not here to discourage because I'm being called to make my own deck still, and I did bring some ones that really kind of inspired me on my journey today if we go in that direction.
Do you have a full deck with you? It's so funny. That's a term. Yeah. Wait, I didn't mean it like that, but
Well,
okay. Funny, funny.
I
It
know.
it's I get from you, you have all of this intuition, manifestation abilities for people, and it's almost overloading you sometimes where it's like you got this, got that. Oh, wait, there's and that. Do you feel that way sometimes? There's like lots of messages and things bouncing around.
Well, I think sometimes it's just okay. So, what I was saying before we got on is that sometimes you'll ask me a question and I'm getting so much information, but not just towards that one, like that, like one answer tied to whatever we initially came together for. It's just that we only have a short period of time for us to go together right now, right? So I'm
Hmm.
just trying to stay on track, but when a lot of time when people ask me questions, I'm also getting guidance about other things. So if I do seem to venture off, it's only because of the fact that I can also see other answers that might be available to the person that's asking me that question. For the most part, the part that's really hard is if I do a shorter session with someone and I know that if I spent more time with them, I could really give them the support they require so they could move through this. That's the part that's painful, is when I have some information unfinished. Like I felt a little unfinished because I felt like maybe I influenced you in some way, shape, or form about thinking doing oracle cards isn't right, but that's not really what I meant. I just wanted to be careful how I plant seeds with others because it's so easy for them to go off track, just because they're not at the same level of growth. That's why they're coming to me, right?
Mm.
You see
Mm.
what I'm trying to say? So, and I don't mean that from a place of arrogance. I'm just saying, like, they're coming for me to help them evolve in some way, shape, or form. So, this is why I want to be careful with the seeds I plant. Because they're
Hmm.
how they grow with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and we talked about others having psychic ability, and we kind of skimmed that. We talked about a lot of different things. Um, do you feel that we all have some ability?
Yes, I do. And that was another thing that I appreciate the fact that you're trying to give me credit for my gifts. I mean, I do think I'm meant to use them like that. I do believe this is what I've come to Earth to do. Like I've known since I was a child, I came to assist. This is where my interest is. I was told my mission in 2002 was to recognize my divine nature and to assist others in doing the same. And truthfully, at first, I'm not going to lie, at first I said, "Is that all? Is that all?" And then I realized that's huge, actually. It's kind of really huge. It's to acknowledge the fact that I am that, but it's also to help people to realize that they are that. Not just people. I've come to realize that's animals. It's not just humans. It's everything is divine in form, right? So really looking at life from that. So when my heart, even though I'm using my gifts to do this work in my reality, I believe everyone is capable of having this connection because in my heart, I actually believe your sixth sense is your connection with your higher power. That's how it actually gets through to you. So this is what makes me so upset when it comes to religion and things like that, because sometimes people are told that psychic abilities is
Uh,
well, and stuff like that,
I
right?
just had that conversation with somebody recently, um, where their religious beliefs, block that, and that's fine. Um, doesn't mean we don't feel they have it. They just don't want to acknowledge it. And I think we're on the same page that it's in all of us, different levels, depending on if you can hear or see messages and really block this stuff around you out so you can get them. But we have intuition. That's why we're here. That's why we're still here. It goes back to, the beginning of man and woman, where, there could be a predator around the corner. There could be a pterodactyl flying down to the cave person. They knew because they used their intuition or their gut feeling or whatever you want to call it, psychic ability. Is it all the same? Psychic ability, gut feeling,
I
intuition.
really feel it's the same. I feel it's the same really in my heart because well, I think I had wrote something today was about near death experience people. Like, some of the signs for me on my journey have been a bit about like, hearing other people's near-death experiences. And in most cases, their spirit leaves their body and they can still see, number one, without
Mm,
eyes. So how the hell is that possible? Number
mm,
two is they're talking telepathically. So in the heavenly realms, they actually talk it in their minds, which means I consider that psychic. I don't care what anyone says. That sounds like it's psychic to me. You know
right.
what I mean? Like, so so if that's what they're naturally doing when they're in the heavenly realms, and this is anybody, right? So it's not like they've studied, or I think that that's really what we're all capable of becoming as we're going through the big change on the planet right now. I think that's why people are going loopy if they have, they're having stuff come up. Their gifts want to come up to the surface more, but unfortunately, they have religion imposed on them. They've had stuff where maybe they had experiences like that, and they were told that they were, not supposed to do that, that it was bad. And
Hmm.
this is the part where I think most of us are being pushed out there more right now to just say, hey, this is normal and it's actually beautiful. And this is how your relationship with a higher power communicates with you. It's either through feelings or hearing or songs, or, look how your mother gave you that message that time. It was through music, but you had
100%.
to be listening too,
But
right?
and at that time, um, I was intentional about taking quiet time. And it was the feeling I got from my mother because I was trying to vibe her. And it was, you need to go to the spot and just relax and reflect. And that's exactly what I did. However, if I wasn't intentional about that and I was just kind of doing my day, I wouldn't have seen the message that I know, and I'll take it to the ground, that she was sending me. There's not even a question. And it doesn't surprise me anymore. I just got up after I heard those three songs that had exact meaning for what was going on at the moment and just walked away. I was like, okay, great. Thank you. I got it. It's seeing the signs and being aware. Hey, let's go to cards. Oracle,
Yeah.
tarot. What's the difference?
Well, I think as I kept growing more on my spiritual path, I started to just realize that, um, that spirit is trying to guide you in positive way, and we have not been taught that. So one of my spiritual teachers is Orrin, who's and I think that this is where the oracle cards. So I'll show you. When I was working at the casino, look how wore out this deck is, because
Oh,
I used to
wow.
carry, I used to carry it in my bag. So what happened was, um, I would bring a deck with me anytime I was practicing with something, I'd bring a deck with me and I'd share it with my coworkers and break. And I'm not going to lie to you, they would read one message and they would glow the rest of the day. They
Mm,
would glow the rest of the day. I just saw what an impact it made on them, that one positive message from that card, that oracle card, right? And I said, I want to make an impact on people like that, and so actually this deck, unfortunately, this spiritual teacher changed directions. She went to religion, which is really sad. That's why I'm going to have to make my own decks, because she won't allow these to produce anymore. But this was a pretty miraculous thing. So my favorite card in the deck is this card. It is called New Opportunity. So what
mm,
happened was, when I wanted to take the workshop with her, I had actually prayed for the highest possible reading, and I had got led to her work, which was angelic work. And this was pretty wild. So the deal was this. There, we were gonna we got sent home with this piece of paper, and we put it out there. If we were meant to do the workshop, all the doors would open. If we weren't meant to do the workshop, it would just not, that opportunity wouldn't kind of come into play. So
mm.
I made a decision after we did the prayer. I made a decision I was going to keep the sheet on my table, my dining room table. So it ended up that I was getting ready to go to work at the casino. I was shuffling this deck of cards. This card flew out, and I heard the angels say, the sheet flew off the table. And my guide said, go to work today, talk to Rob, your manager, because your work is going to help to pay for this. We had a bursary for $1,500 a year at the time. And I knew that I was going to eventually do spiritual work. I knew I was just happy being the cog in the wheel as the cocktail server on the gaming floor. I had no intention of going into, applying that bursary for management stuff. So anyways, so don't I get to work? My manager's name was Rob. He was a smoker like I, and I still smoke actually. So you can still have a connection with God and smoke. So anyone who tells you you can't is bullshit. Anyways, sorry. And I believe sometimes they actually send me in for that reason. I believe they send me in so people realize that, you don't have to be too straight and still, can have a connection. But anyway, he came out and I said, something's telling me that your work is going to pay for this course that I'm interested in. And he said, Rose, to be honest with you, I've just came out of a meeting and we just changed policies and procedures today. And he said that $1,500, we want you guys to be happy, and that $1,500 bursary can be used for anything, even if you wanted to learn scuba diving.
Wow. Wow.
So, so I don't care what she says. She can change direction all she wants. You're not going to tell me that's not God. I don't care what anyone says. You know what I mean? Like that. That was just so beautiful. It was so beautiful, you know.
It's universal validation. Uh, wow. I want to go to, you said the card fell out. And when I just dabble in my I think it's an Oracle deck. I don't think it's
Okay.
tarot deck, it's an Oracle deck. Real simple one. And I'll think of something, pose a question in my mind, and I'll pull three cards. And I always wonder, is it the universe's way to make those cards answer the question? Like I'm just pulling three, and I sometimes even look, people have told me what you had said, that cards come flying out. I had that happen once or twice. Is it just you pull the card or three, and is that going to be the answer? And should you pull three?
Well, so especially with Oracle, because some of them are a little deeper. So actually, how I treat them, I have my own way of treating them. I think the most important thing is you developing your own relationship. See, I was sharing this in a group that I was in just recently. This is your relationship with your higher power. And I think it's
Hmm,
very important for people to really realize this. I can share with you some of the things that assisted me on my journey. Like I have two number combinations that I know for sure when the angels know, my guides know that if I see a 707 combination, it's going to help me feel supported and that I'm on the right track. Because you and I both know our brain can go off on tangents. You see what I'm
sure,
trying to say?
totally.
Same idea with the cards, right? I just found so I will shuffle them and I cut them, and I at the bottom of each cut has its own story. To me, that's the influence. And then I will get intuitively three, maybe max six, because they're pretty deep, right? Like they're usually have a lot going on in them, right? So I'll hear three or I'll hear five. And then sometimes it's like a story, and that's the influence. That's how I've chosen to work with them. And then sometimes it all kind of flows in together, right? And then sometimes, like we said the last time, it doesn't, none of it makes sense. But like I said to you, I think that's when you need to read some of those messages just to clear your brain a little bit, because it's maybe too focused on something, or you're still too much in fear, and you need to read some positive stuff to just get your ass in a better direction.
Well,
That's
I
what.
guess it goes back to what we were saying before, that you need to listen or observe and take it all in. And many of us, like you say, we, squirrel brain, you're like all over the place trying to, process things instead of just, I'm focusing here and now. Um, how about I think of something and you pull three cards from, or one card, whatever, however it works.
Okay, sure. So I did shuffle some of my message from the universe cards. I will share that. And I always like to end my session with them. Would
Hmm.
you like those ones? Well, we'll
I,
do one of each. Let's put it.
your choice.
Well, I already got them, so I'm going to share the first one is I acknowledge and love the light within every human being. In so doing, I allow those around me to manifest the best and the highest of their being. We empower each other in order to create a world of abundance, beauty, and harmony. And then the other card is the power of my higher self is now fully in action. Magnificent successes are coming into my life. I welcome these successes with joy and gratitude. I celebrate the abundance and the kindness of the universe. I always like to use those cards at the end
Hmm.
of, uh-oh, buddy. I'm
What,
not sure. No,
what's
so
going on? What?
this one's like usually when it comes up, it means somebody needs to get laid. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No.
Really?
I'm like,
That was my question. Okay.
and I think should really like focus on that. No, I'm just kidding.
Listen, I'm not bragging, but I don't need to. So,
You get that question answered already?
I wasn't, I didn't ask it intentionally in my mind. So I think I need to. Can we do that again? And I'm going to focus on that question.
Well, the one on top is letting go. So was there anything at all or you just generalized?
Interesting. I'm going to tell you right now that that card does apply in a big way.
Okay.
In a big way. I recently cut cords
Oh,
energetically.
is that the relationship, hon? Because I'm telling you, this card really is okay. So, did they have some issues when it comes to that? Because this card can also mean that someone's had some history with this, like, sexual abuse or something like that. Maybe they didn't share that part.
No,
You know,
I don't think so. Yeah, I know, but I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued. Um,
serious, there is the potential with that card that sometimes people have issues. They might not share that stuff. That stuff with women especially can be really
hmm,
maybe make her behave in a certain way. But I will tell you this letting go card is a little different than the one you were told. So cutting cords isn't a bad idea. I know we have to go soon. But cutting cords, what it is basically, handing it over to your higher power, going, listen, you decide what's best for all of us in this situation. You see what I'm trying to say? Because sometimes, like, we are sent in each other's reality for a period of time. And it really is just, from a loving place because we can get really, stuck in seeing something the way it is when maybe it necessarily isn't it. Because there is the next card is happily ever after and
hmm,
then and then being honest with yourself. So maybe it really could be a little bit too about going, really, what do you want? Maybe sometimes that person is reflecting certain things back to you, and we have to be careful what we don't want because the universe doesn't hear the word don't. So it will actually give you more of what you don't want. So the more you don't like it, if they're clinging to you too much, it's like, I hate it when she clings to me. It's like, well, the reason why she's clinging to you is because you're focusing on that. So this is where it can be a little challenging. My
uh,
mom, you get what I'm trying to say,
I
honey?
100%, and that's almost the principles of manifestation, right? And your subconscious, but you're creating your reality by the language you're using.
How you're describing it to yourself, what's
Yeah,
happening.
and
This could,
I love what you just said in that eh, throw it to the universe. Throw it to the universe because the universe has the answer and it knows best. I believe we, for the most part, know the answer from within us, but ultimately, it's the universe that's going to make the decision. Um, so beautifully said. And I'm going to tell you, randomly here, you pulling those cards, every single one of those made sense in a lot of the question I was thinking.
But
So
just be really clear and just always say what's best for all. So when the universe, and then that way you'll just notice things are just not lining up. If they're meant to be pulled out of your reality, it'll just start kind of but it doesn't have to be really cruel and hurtful, right? But
yeah,
just be careful of what you don't want because the universe doesn't hear the word don't. So I would say, did you ever not want to forget something to my clients? Did you ever say something? I don't want to forget that. How often do you forget it? And you don't realize now, eliminate the word don't and you say, I want to forget that. So if you don't want to hurt a person, you're actually hurting them by focusing on what you don't want to hurt them. So, just listen, I really care about this person. If it's in both of our best interests, I'm going to hand it over to you. You show me what to do next. And you're just going to have the right words come out your mouth.
sure. And it's almost the same thing within our subconscious. I've tried to change my language. For example, and yeah, we're out of time, but
I
we're back.
know. Makes sense.
Like when you say I can't wait to go to that restaurant. You're saying can't wait, as in, it's not going to happen. So I always say, I'm looking forward to going to that restaurant. Or when somebody says, well, it could be worse, it could be worse. You're saying, be worse, be worse.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it takes them get, and that's why I just feel like it's just a nice to have someone outside of you as a reminder.
Yes.
When I sit with them, I'm in their energy and I can see what their beliefs are. I have some of my own too. It would be nice to have more people that are supporting me back, sometimes too, I guess is all I'm trying to say. Because it's just getting even describing something to somebody can really throw you, just, it might not necessarily
Sure.
help to create something better.
Mm.
Right.
I,
And when
I
it
have to, Rose, we're out of time, but I have to
go.
tell you, I see you in a different light after talking with you today. In
Oh,
terms
really?
of, yes, in a fabulous way. Um, and I see your abilities, you're demonstrating them even more, um, and the process and how your brain operates within all of this. Um, I detect that you've got so much information going on. It's almost hard to, got to pull this one out, give it to you, got to pull this one out, because there's so much going on. It's like I don't know how you filter all of that stuff going on.
Well, it's just finding a way to convey that to others, in a simple way. And I think I'm pretty good at it, actually. I have handouts and stuff like that, and I'll try to see. But I also know sometimes I have to give them background. Like I've got to give them background to even lead them there. And if they've been in grief for a long period of time, like I can pull them out of the grief, but I might need 3 hours to do that.
Hmm.
So I actually sit with them for that period of time. The angels are working on them, and I'm gradually bringing them up the emotional scale. Then I do energy work with them, and then I want them to fly. And then sometimes, actually, after I clear them, I can hear their passed on loved one better because if they're in too much grief, I actually become one with them, and my vibration goes down lower. So it's harder for me to hear the dead people. But as I start to raise them up, then it's easier for me to go, oh my God, they're telling me this and that, so it is my own work, and I don't know if anyone else will do it exactly the way because it is my
Mm.
work, right? This is what my work has become.
Yeah, and you're unique in what you do in a good way. Very
Oh,
cool.
thank you. No, I appreciate that because this is the part that I feel like I'm trying to use my time with you for because I'm not here to tell I'm better than anyone. I'm just here to say this is what my work is. And I really believe in my heart you're all capable of having your gifts. I want you to experience the magic part of it way longer before you even think of facilitating for other people because it's different. It's different when you do. You really have to have a strong connection with your higher power before you start mixing your energy with other people because they can throw you all over the place if you let them.
Well, good point. And I think it also comes back to you need to love yourself and have a solid foundation of yourself and faith in yourself and resilience, like, almost like a sheet of armor on you before you can really, do life because you need to protect yourself from the energy of this person, that, and all of that. Um, theperfectrose.ca is her website, theperfectrose.ca, 905 526 9694, 905 526 9694. If you want to reach out. Fabulous talking with you today, Rose. Really enjoyed
Well,
it.
thanks, Steve. Lots of love to you, honey. And, when you go on that vacation, just have some fun for me, please, because I could really do one.
I
I'm
have, it has not done yet. And you know what?
telling you right now, just keep your mind and heart open. Might not be there, but your friend's going to manifest this. So
Oh
just
yeah.
open
Oh
your mind.
yeah. But you know what? It didn't pan out when I was planning it as of yesterday. Well, like I said, there was a little hitch, but that's the universe saying it's not that wasn't the best choice. So on to the next choice, and whatever that's going to be, that's going to be.
I'm sure that I'm something, just open your mind to see. Now you've put your feelers out there. There might be something wonderful that manifests for both of you. So,
Awesome. Thank you,
yeah,
and
honey.
we'll talk soon. Okay.
Okay,
Appreciate it.
thank you so
All
much.
right. We'll be
Bye.
right back.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned.
This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.